Hello, psychologically minded parents. Today we're going to be talking about why these sticker charts aren't working and what you can do to tweak them so that they're actually getting your kids to behave. So these sticker charts, I talk to so many parents and they say, we've tried the sticker chart, it's not working, we don't know what to do. After 3 or 4 questions, I start finding out what is going wrong with this sticker chart, why it's not working, or any kind of chart. Sometimes it's check marks, sometimes stickers, sometimes it's promises to earn 5 check marks and then they're going to get a pizza party at the end of the week. You got to remember that the sticker chart wasn't something that somebody came up with out of the clear blue. We have to look back at the history of behaviorism to find out why people started coming up with these reward systems in the first place. The sticker chart is kind of the end result of a long line of research that shows what makes people behave a certain way. So if we can look back and understand behaviorism, then we can design the sticker chart to have all of the elements that are needed to influence another person's behavior. If we boil it down to the 2 bare essentials, what we need to understand is what is the specified desired behavior that we want the child to do. The other important part is what is the reinforcer? What is going to be the result that's positive for the child if they engage in that behavior? All of the other elements to this plan are enhancements to make that desired behavior happen. Let's look at a few examples so we can put this into practice. A few common ones that almost every parent will say is on their list is following instructions the first time they're given. When the parent says to do something, the child will do it. And sometimes it's better to even narrow that down to be more specific. Let's say the 3 behaviors are, number 1, the child will get ready for bed when told to do so. Number 2, the child will turn off the electronic device when told to do so. And number 3, the child will empty the kitty litter box when told to do so. So what we would do is write these 3 things down and we would sit down with the child and talk about them. Now, we said the second part of a good behavior or a discipline plan is going to be the reinforcer. So then we start examining the child and we start thinking, what turns this kid on? What makes them happy? What would the child consider to be niceties in life? Is it being left alone in their room? Is it playing Legos? Is it helping the parent cook? Is it getting to choose what music to listen to in the car? Is it extra 10 minutes on an electronic device or anytime you're getting to use an electronic device? Is it being allowed to watch a movie? Anything that the child finds enjoyable, anything that brings about a sense of happiness, that is considered a reinforcer. One of the biggest reinforcers, I've said this in the other videos, is a parent's positive regard. So a parent's praise, acknowledgement, that goes a long way and it's free. So always include the praise or the acknowledgement if you're using any other rewards. So let's suppose that some of the things that the kid likes is having pizza for dinner, having a friend come over to play, playing a video game. You can't always give those reinforcers right at the time that the child does it. Ideally, if we were living in some fantasy world, you would say, go and get ready for bed, and as soon as the kid went to get ready for bed, boom, there'd be a pizza dinner, or all of a sudden the friend would be knocking at the door and they get to play. Obviously that doesn't work. So what we use are secondary reinforcers. This is where the sticker chart comes in. A sticker, a token, a check mark, all of these things are meaningless except for the meaning that the child puts on them, what they represent. If the child is allowed to use the token, or they trade in check marks, or they trade in stickers at a later time for a pizza dinner, or having a friend over, or getting to go out and ride their bike, now you've got something. You've got something that you can give in the moment, because that's very important. The timing of the reward should come as close to the behavior as possible. That's why we use things that we can give immediately. A thank you, a what a big boy you are, or how nice to see you do it on the first time I told you. You know, that praise and the token that they know starts to represent other niceties in life that they're excited about. So then they start to feel good they start to get a positive feeling within them when they're doing this thing that really isn't that much fun. It's not something they would prefer to do, but they're willing to do it, and they start to associate that positive feeling that the praise or the token or the check mark or the sticker gives them with the behavior that they did, whether it's turning off the device when they didn't want to, etc. Another important element is what type of economy are you going to set up here? The ideal seems to be a middle class to upper middle class economic system where the child feels that they are putting in some effort, they're having to tolerate a little bit of negativity because they're doing something they don't really feel like doing, but they feel that they're getting a lot out of life. They feel that they're getting respect and positive attention from the parent. They feel that they're getting to do things that they enjoy. You don't want the child to feel like they're on welfare, that they're doing all this work, they're struggling, they can barely do what's expected of them, and at the same time, they're not really getting a lot out of it. That's going to make the system not work, and it's going to make a rebellious kid that does not like the system. You also don't want to go the other end and have a child who's oversatiated. You don't want to create a Bill Gates who has all of the tokens and check marks they would ever need, that they can be as rude and ignorant and disrespectful as they want to and still live a life of luxury. Not that Bill Gates does any of that. The other thing about a sticker chart to remember is that it's always evolving. You're going to be changing what specific behaviors you want to see, because once the kid starts doing this as a habit, you can take them off of the chart and put on a new behavior. So that's going to keep changing. Also, what the child can turn in the tokens for is going to be changing. What's exciting for them one week isn't going to be exciting for them the next week. So keep in mind that you don't just set it up and then you're done. You can even think of this system as a temporary measure in general, but the principle will still remain, even if you've got 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. If you keep this principle that there are expected behaviors and there are niceties in life that you have control over, either providing or withholding for the young person, then you're basically doing the same thing as a sticker chart. When you expect the 17-year-old to have cleaned their room and finished their homework and mowed the yard, and they're not getting to borrow the car keys until those things are done, the car keys are pretty much the sticker or the token. And it still works. It still works. Even as adults, we are all humans and we're motivated and driven by the results of our behaviors. So if you think you're immune to it, you're not. The other thing that I hear parents say is that they don't want to bribe their child. They kind of view providing niceties for their child in return for the child behaving well as bribing them, or they feel that they're paying off their kid. If you think of the word bribe, the definition is that you're paying someone to do something they're not supposed to do in your favor. That's what a bribe is. You're not really bribing a child. All you're using are universal behavior principles that we didn't make up. That's just how humans are made. And you're using that to get the child to see that there's no free lunch. You're really just teaching them how life works. The more responsible you are, the more you're doing the things you need to do, the more privileges you get, the more freedom you get. Let's recap briefly and make sure you're putting all of these elements into your chart. You've got the specified expected behavior. You've got the primary reinforcers that the child likes and the secondary reinforcers, which will be the tokens, the stickers, the check marks that they can trade in for the actual primary reinforcers, such as activities that they like to do, foods that they like to eat, and privileges that they like to receive. Timing and consistency. You've got to pair the positive reward with the positive behavior as close in time as possible, and that's the whole reason that you're using praise and stickers and tokens, because you can give them immediately. And consistently. You've got to provide the reinforcer every time the child does the desired behavior, at least in the beginning. Once it starts to become a habit, you can start to pull back and intermittently reinforce the behavior. But in the beginning, when you're trying to establish this as a new habit for the child, You've got to be watching and on top of things, and don't let that desired behavior go unnoticed. Good luck putting these principles into practice. If you liked the video, click like. Hopefully you're subscribed so that you'll get other videos in this series. And remember, Psychology works on kids and parents.